This is the third video in a series that accompanies a workshop on QGIS taught at Michigan State University. Now that we've done some initial work with our shapefiles, let's pause a moment and ask ourselves what exactly a shapefile is. If we take a closer look at the files we download, we can see we have several files, all with identical names, but with different file extensions. This one that ends with SHP is the actual shapefile. It contains the geometry that we see in the map, but it's accompanied by several others. SHX is an index file. DBF is a database file. It contains the attribute information, everything that we saw when we used the identify tool and pulled up the box of information on that particular feature. The PRJ file is a projection file, and it tells the GIS software which map projection was used to create the shapefile. And occasionally you'll see other files associated with them also, documentation for instance. We must have all these files working together, and so they all have to be kept in the same folder together so that the GIS program can pull from them. So when you find shapefiles out on the internet, they're pretty much always downloaded in bundles, usually as a zip file, but it could be compressed in some other way. And then after you download it, you have to unzip them in order to use them. The attribute information can be seen more clearly with a file if we right-click on it and go back to the properties. If we right-click on a layer and choose Open Attribute Table, we can see what the FCC provided with each one of these cell phone towers. We have the licensee's name, call sign, some locational information, the county and state in which it's located, and kind of an address of sorts, and some other pieces of information. The county file attribute table, we have a FIPS code, which is a commonly seen number. It's kind of a universal identifier for geographic political units such as counties and cities and states. We have the names, which would be useful in labeling, and we have this area that each county takes up, and I also added here at the end the percentage of housing in that county that is currently vacant. When you become a more advanced GIS user, you can add to those attribute tables yourself, create them either joining from an Excel table or typing it directly into the attribute table. So we can pull from that attribute information in order to label things. One way to label would be to choose a layer and then come up here and choose the label button. Click this box to label the layer, and we have to tell it which field to pull from that table. We have the call sign, for instance, and we can label every cell phone tower. This would be a very busy map, and we really wouldn't want to do that unless we were focusing on a small area. Another way to get to that label bar is to go to the layer properties and choose labels here. We get the same exact box coming up, and we can undo that labeling. Another useful thing we can do with the attribute table is to select certain items. We want to do something with the GIS file, and we need to only work with certain features. For instance, the cell phone towers of Ingham County, Michigan. We could open that attribute table. We have the location county of each cell phone tower. And we have the state. We could find the ones that are in Ingham County and highlight just them. Just by highlighting them, you can see that the dots turned yellow here. They are selected, and we could then do something with just those selected items. It's easy to unselect items. We come up here and click the deselect button, and they turn red again. And we can do just the opposite. We could use our select features tool here and select by geography. If there hadn't been a county column in that attribute table, we could just select them by drawing a box over them. They're now selected. By selecting them, they become highlighted in the table. These will all be useful tools that we can use later in this workshop.